welcome to another video. In today's video we are going to be doing Nemesis versus Infusion. Now, as I have not been on Nemesis, my dad is going to be talking about Nemesis and I will talk about Infusion. So, let's get into it.
Hello, Max's dad here. He's asked me to talk about the Nemesis today. Now, I first went to the Nemesis round about when it came out, really, in 1994. 28 years ago, I would have been sort of 14, 15 years old. And the first thing I've got to say about the Nemesis is that it is my favourite ride. It is my number one ride, if you've seen our other video, a top 10. And the first reason is this queue, which is why Max is showing it on the video here. I don't think in 1994 I'd ever really been on a roller coaster with theming before. You go to theme parks, but this was the first sort of themed roller coaster I think I'd ever been on. You have sort of runaway mine trains that I suppose are themed like a sort of Wild West, but this was just completely different. You went in and it was like this sort of spider monster thing, and the track ran all around it and under the ground, and you had red, purpley water pouring down all over the place like it was some sort of nightmare. And then while you were there as well, in the queue, the car came thundering past on the tracks. And by the time you got to the ride, and it was long queues then to ride this amazing ride that come out, you were just so excited to get on. It was the best ride you'd ever been on before you even got on it. And then got to the ride itself. So you start going up the lift hill, and you're all excited, and your legs are hanging free, which was the big thing. I'd never been on a roller coaster where my legs were hanging free. And you go up the lift and you think, oh, that's not that high. Of course, at Alton Towers, you can only have roller coasters as high as the trees because of the neighbours. And when you first go on it, you think, well, that's not very high, you know. And then you blast down so smooth. You go around that first bend, round the next, and you go like literally sideways on that one, and then smash through over the roll, down into the dip, round the bend, and then of course you come round and you're going to do the big loop. And honestly, it took my breath away. There's also a couple of leg choppers, particularly this coming up where there's a fence, and just here, and you just think you're going to lose your feet. And then by the time you come round and the air brakes come on at the end, you just you just don't know what's happened to you.
So, as you walk up to Infusion, you see a bunch of water fountains just going up and a massive roller coaster zooming past you, doing the biggest roar in the world, and it's just the best atmosphere ever. The water and everything, and how you see the people going past, screaming with their holding on for dear life, and it's just like the best queue if you want to look at what the actual ride is, because you can see the entire ride because it's quite compact, and 5 inversions, 109 feet and 49.8 miles per hour. That's quite impressive.
Well, Max, I think the Nemesis is just a little bit better because the theming's better, the queuing's better, I think it looks better. And ultimately, I think that the ride's better. It's smoother. I think it certainly feels quicker, even if you say it's not. And I think the overall experience is just the best. And what's more, do you know what? Everyone else agrees with me. Everyone else pretty much puts Nemesis as the best ride in the country as well, and Infusion is not. That said, I'm going to be fair and say the rides are very similar. And I think that there isn't much to it. They both go the same speed. They've got the same amount of sort of inversions. You both have the leg dangling feeling and the leg choppers, and actually I think they're very similar rides. I think Infusion doesn't have quite the same queuing, and it's a little bit rough with the shoulder restraints, but actually it's a very underrated ride, and I think they're very similar.
Well, what I say to that is how you say Nemesis is smooth, but you've not been on it since 15 years ago, so you don't know if it's all of a sudden got really rough.
It's going to be retrack next year, though.
Yeah, but it's not going to have a roar to it, is it? It's not going to roar as you go past. And Infusion has the shortest queue in the world. Pretty much you go in, you wait for one train to go past, you're straight on. And the front row queue is very short, but the third row is the best row. The front row is quite rough. The third row is the best.
I think you do have a point there, Max. Although the queuing system is not as nice, it's not as well themed, that's partly because you don't actually have to queue very much on Infusion and you can get straight on the ride in 10 minutes. So that is better because every time I've been on Nemesis, I've had to queue for at least an hour.
Yeah, well, the most we queued for Infusion's 5 minutes, wasn't it?
Well, it was.
Yeah. Oh, and it's much more intense than Nemesis. It pulls more G-force. It's
Does it? What's the G-force on?
4 G-force on Infusion and Nemesis 3.5.
Wow.
But Nemesis does keep it for a bit longer than Infusion.
Yeah, you do feel it. I think you've almost got me convinced.
Really?
Not quite.
Alright, I'll see you in another video, and bye!